Hey guys, welcome back to the Boken Up channel. Thank you for joining me one more time at the cabin. Yet again, I know this looks like summertime, but this is the last of my summer cleanup. So if you're, if you've been watching and you're wondering why we're still in summer, as you guys know, I'm behind on videos, but this time is finally getting up the owl house. So we got 3 things on the lineup today, and I'm going to do a different type of video, just kind of combine them all into one because they're all little small sections here and there. So for this part, I'm hanging up the owl house, and it is on a dead tree. I'll have you know, you'll get to see this a little bit. So the tree is half living, and it has a section coming off that's half dead. That's been cut a long time ago. So I thought, well, it's got a great view of the field first off. So where I'm hanging it, you'll see the shed and the outhouse in the back. So because of that, this is facing the house then, the cabin. And it's got this grassy area, and you see mice going through there and stuff like that. So I thought, well, if I have any chance at attracting owls, this seems like a good location. I'm not killing a tree, screwing anything into it. And at this point, it's again got a great view of the whole kind of section of the property that I care about mice on. So I started hanging up. I sped this up obviously because I'm climbing up and down the ladder quite a bit, but this section does take a little while to go back and forth, which is why I'm going to chop this up into a couple different sections. So going up and down, it just took a little while to figure out what I needed. And the ladder, honestly, putting a ladder like this on a tree, it looks fine in the video, but it's not as stable as actually when you're on it. Like you wanted to make sure it didn't rock or anything or fall over. So that is the challenge 1 with hanging the owl house up. The second part that's coming up is actually what's in the background right there, and this is the outhouse. So I haven't really talked a lot about the outhouse, right? It's there, it exists, but it's actually, on one hand, it's really nice. On the other hand, it's seen better days like the rest of the place, right? So you'll see on the door, I have it propped open with a stick, and I actually have the part that the stick is leaning on is a spring. So they actually had it like spring loaded, which I thought was kind of cool because I haven't actually seen something like that when I've been to other people's cabins. But the little brown section in the bottom corner, I'll point it out on there. That's a piece that's missing that just kind of got rotted or fell off or whatever. So they had the outside structure, which is the plywood and all that. But on the inside, the problem with that is some of the inside board had probably been chewed apart by mice for the most part, I'm going to guess, because it doesn't really look like a lot of water's got in there. It's not like it's been rotted or that, but I'm going to guess something just kind of nibbled away at it, and that took place. Then the last part we're focusing on is old propane tanks. So the cabin came with some small propane tanks like you would see in like a grill for your backyard. These, though, however, were lying over before you drive up to the cabin. So they have been, now, point noted, I'll point this out on there. There is a larger propane tank in the back that's actually mounted. That is not what we're dealing with. So the large propane tank with the yellow cap in the background right there, that is the neighbor's. So that is not part of this. However, these large ones that you see me pulling out, actually, I was able to confirm they go to this, they came with the cabin. So there's 2 of them, 2 of these large propane tanks, and I've just left them sitting there. I don't know, what are we on, 6-7 months at this point? I've left them sitting there the whole time because I just didn't have the time to deal with them. And yeah, that's really about it, right? They were just like a last priority. So, but before the winter comes and they get frozen to the ground, I'd like to get them out of there. So my goal was, I was like, well, look, winter's coming before you know it. Currently now it feels like we're already in winter, so I just have to get rid of these things. Okay, so those are the 3 things. So switching back to the owl house, a little more stats on this, I would say. So the owl house, again, 10 to 12 feet in the air. That's what it recommended. Again, this dead tree seemed to work perfect for that and have good view. Other than that, to be honest, was figuring out how to put it up there. So if I were to put one of these things up again, I don't know, maybe it would take me 20 minutes. If I have everything. And I'm wearing a tool belt in this. I have a cordless drill. I have different drill bit heads in this. The reason for that is the wood screws I have that are kind of like decking screws, they're kind of those torque heads, or sometimes people call them the 6-sided. So they work really well to screw in kind of at a high velocity and with a little more torque on them. The ones that it came with are cheaper, of course, because, right, this Outhouse did not cost $1 million. I think I told you guys before I got it off Amazon. It's cedar wood and just regular wood on the top. So those are just a little Phillips head screwdriver. So I had the cordless drill, which is a little bigger because it's an older cordless drill. I was telling you guys it's like a Porter cable. And it hasn't burnt out, so I'm just going to keep using it. And I had to figure out how to get it mounted and how to then take the face off it, which was a little confusing because it has 4 holes in the back wall, but you can't get to the back wall with the face of it on there. These are things I didn't really plan out or didn't really know. I say this all the time, but if you're doing stuff yourself, it takes generally probably 3 times longer, but it's also, 5 times cheaper doing it yourself than anything else like that. All right, so back to the outhouse. This is the floor, and you can see why I'm painting it. Now, some of the questions that'll probably come up are like, do you even need to paint it? It's an outhouse. Look, is that floor even in good condition? Do you want to keep it, or do you want to replace it, or put something else down on it? These are all fair questions. So the outhouse, I end up using it every time I'm up there, right? Because I'm up there for a couple days. Sometimes it's just a weekend, but other times I've spent, 4 or 5 days up there just trying to get everything in order and trying to get that garbage out of there. So it doesn't feel great going in the house. First off, it had a lot of spider webs, right? That's no surprise. But there's also been mice in there, which, is par for the course for this place, as you guys know. So mice, a lot of insects in that, and then mud and dirt just kind of on the floor. I'm not sure long-term. I think long-term I may have to replace some of the interior walls to cover up some of the holes. You'll get to see in another section. I'll point them out. I don't think you could see that well here, but the corners are actually, they didn't put any trim pieces in the corners. And again, I realize this is an outhouse. What they did do is put tape. It looks to me like a painter's tape. Now it's been painted over, so I haven't really actually chipped away at it or anything, but they put painter's tape just to cover up the cracks. Problem with painter's tape or any kind of tape is mice can just chew through that. And then the board itself, mice can chew through this little thin, what do I call it, like paneling, right? They need a spot to be able to start nibbling, but if the corners are just kind of taped and they can, dig a hole in the tape and then they can start chewing away at the corners, that's what it looks like it happened in one section. So very short term, kind of temporary. I thought, well, all right, if I'm going to be up there in the winter, and the outhouse is not my top priority because, as you guys know, we've been trying to get trash out. I've been trying to get it clean inside, fill up the cracks, make sure it's waterproof so I can actually start rebuilding the inside. I thought, well, what can I do to make myself feel better about the outhouse? Because with this dirt and all that, sometimes you can't even spot like spiders in there and stuff like that. Again, spiders are going to come no matter what. But, I'll just say what we're all thinking. Last thing I want to be in there is with my pants down and, a giant spider creeping up on me. And the spiders that have been here, by the way, are huge. I realize this is not Texas, as you can tell by the scenery. And we're not dealing with, black widows or brown recluses or anything like that. But the spiders in the woods, holy crap, they're huge. So that is the reason for, I thought, painting the floor and just trying to make it look a little better. Now these tanks that I've been dealing with, there was some other stuff around there. I do not know what that aluminum case is. No clue. And there's been beer cans thrown over there. For the life of me, no matter how long I live, I will never understand why people just chuck beer cans in the woods. You guys know, if you've been anywhere, whether it's on a piece of property, anywhere where people go on a regular basis, I don't know why people just chuck beer cans in the woods. It bothers me every single time. If I have one pet peeve, it's trash. So anyway, I kept that aluminum thing because I'm not sure what it is and if I could do anything with it. And the beer cans I'm just going to take back and recycle. So that's what I've been doing. The propane tanks, the one interesting thing I'll tell you guys is they have propane in them. So these things have been sitting in the mud. I literally had to yank them out. One of them I actually thought was possibly cemented. It wasn't. It's just stuck in the mud. But believe it or not, for how rusty and muddy the sides are, these things still got propane in them, probably a quarter of a tank. So right now, this will be the end of the propane section. I just dragged them out, and I'm going to leave them sitting next to the cabin. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. Maybe I'll use them, maybe I won't. All right, then the final touches on the outhouse, just so you guys know, were, again, just painting the front a little bit, just making myself feel like it's not as gross in there. Again, it's an outhouse, but I painted the front, I painted the floor. The floor, to be honest, looks in good condition. You can see from this view, like, the wood doesn't look rotted or anything like that. So the floor is actually stable. It's not, it's got no give to it or anything. The seat and the whole structure like that seems stable. So at the end of this, I may actually be able just to keep this and maybe just replace some of the paneling with the holes in it and stuff like that, because there are mice getting in there on some occasion. But it's that little, you see the little crack in the corner I'll point it out? That's where the tape is, and that's where I think some mice can squeeze through there. Are they living in there or not? It doesn't look like they're living in there. I see just 1 or 2 mice poop in there every time I come back, like they got in there. There's no food or anything in here and they left. Maybe that'll be different over the winter. I'm not really sure. Or maybe they are living in there. I don't know. But for now, if I can actually cover it up with some trim board, I think it might keep the mice out, and maybe that's perfectly fine. Again, it is just an outhouse. The last portion here is just the last final touches on the owl house. So a couple stats on the owl house. I thought this was really interesting. Now, I've said this to somebody else. It's only an owl house if owls show up. But the stats on the owl house is one owl can eat, it looks like, about 1,000 mice a year. I saw that stat online. I found that a little hard to believe. But then I looked up that an owl family can eat between 10 to 12 mice a day. Now, that's probably, if that's their only diet, they are mowing through that many mice a day. I don't really know, but I'm going to hope, this is the end of summer, so I probably hung this up somewhere in maybe late September, if I had to guess. And now we're in October, we're in November. So I'm going to hope when I show up next time, I can actually see some up there. I don't know if that's the case, but let's hope that's the case. So, let's hope they're eating 10 to 12 mice a day, because that would be fantastic. So this is the end of the outhouse. You guys can see what it looks like. And that's what we got accomplished to wrap up before the, before the winter hit. So outhouse, owl house, and the propane tanks. What goes on from here? It's going to kind of be paused till the springtime, and we're just going to focus on the cabin. And we're not going to use that propane tank, by the way. I've cut out all those lines. You guys remember seeing probably what the stove looked like, all rusty and trash, so we're not going to use that either. So for now, for the meantime, this is where we're going to leave off. So I'm going to pick back up in the cabin, but as always, if you guys got any suggestions on an outhouse, an owl house, or what to do with old propane tanks that size, I guess I'd take them somewhere, but if anybody has any suggestions, I will gladly take them. You guys have been extremely helpful. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for coming along for the cabin, and I hope you guys are all getting outdoors and enjoying yourself as well. All right, see you guys.